Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. This is exciting. It's my first kind of webinar, so I'm excited to be doing this about a topic I am very passionate about. I love to design search and filter interfaces. I am kind of a junkie when it comes to looking at all there is out there, what people have done, considering what works, what doesn't work, and honestly, it's different in every situation. But I'm going to go into some considerations for you, some guidelines, some things to make sure you think about, and then a bunch of examples, a lot of examples, and what I'm hoping to have come out of this is also, hey, you missed something. You should check out this. You should check out that, because there are new approaches to searching and displaying results and navigating those results. Every day, people are coming up with something new, and basically, I'll begin. Okay. I wanted to tell you a teeny bit about Mad Pow. We're an experience design studio, so we're designing experiences every day across every screen, mobile, web, applications, trying to make the world a better place through design. And definitely the core of our philosophy is to involve the people who will be affected by the design in the design process. And we're in the US, in New Hampshire, which is a state we're about an hour north of Boston, and we have about 28 folks on staff, and we've been going since about the year 2000. And we do work for a lot of companies, well-known companies in the US. I'm not sure how many you're familiar with, but across all industries in healthcare and financial services, in consumer brands, and in media. And so we've seen a lot of interesting things over the years, helping our clients help their customers, their employees find information via search tools. So my presentation is not about water or oceans or fish. It is about search, so what does this have to do with anything? The way that I think about search is that all of the information out there on the internet, all the information out there actually that humanity has access to, I view it as being in this big pool. And when we do a search, we're kind of dipping a toe, a fishing rod, whatever metaphor you want to use, into that pool with a search term, or by visiting a website. We're pinpointing one informational space in the wide world of information out there. And when you break down water, you see the molecules, and search is kind of in the same way. There are many different facets, components, ways to organize information, and the thing that and the fish is like, all the information is living, breathing, moving. Some of it's stagnating, but also there are relevant pieces of information. So the school of fish is like related information. And when you do a search, sometimes it's not evident what is the information space. How do you navigate the information space? How do you what is related to the topic that you're searching on? You might search for a certain thing, and there's something that's very closely related to it, but because it's not in your specific search term or topic, it doesn't come up. So this is just a nice way that's out there. Figure out how to organize it in the best way possible so that users can find it, and basically bubble up, again with the metaphor, bubble up the information to the surface so that the users can find what they're looking for. So during this session, I would like to cover the following topics. And if you have anything, again, that you think I missed or any questions, do type them in or raise your hand. I'll go through the different types of searches, some key considerations, how different ways to initiate search, and to navigate through search results, different ways to present search results, and then some topics around relevancy, personalization, and taking action on search results. So how do people search? We're obviously familiar with search engines like Google, like Bing, like Ask, different search engines in different geographic regions of the world as well. And then also embedded site searches. So you go to a specific site, it might be a corporate site, a marketing site, and there's a search tool embedded to help you find information on that site, that specific site. There are e-commerce searches help you buy a sweater, buy plane tickets, buy pretty much anything. And there are also intranet or local searches at your company. You can search on your intranet for private documents inside the firewall, or on your own system you can do a search for your files. And you can initiate a search in many ways, online, on websites, on your mobile phone, on your desktop, a desktop application, from a kiosk, from a phone interface, a voice interface. You could be calling on the phone and trying to find a piece of information and using your voice to navigate, or the keys on your phone to navigate. And you could also ask a live person, and if you ask a live person, they might be using a system or a search tool to help you as well. And people are looking for different types of things. They might be looking for a phone number, a sweater, a plane ticket, a document, a song, a person, or basically any piece of information. But the information's different. Sometimes it's a very specific piece of information, and there is one answer, and you're looking for the right answer, which is, a specific, could be a specific zip code or postal code. It could be the temperature in a certain location, or it could be a specific person. So there is only one answer. You're looking for the temperature, the postal code, this specific person. But you could also be trying to find and compare pieces of information. And in that case, there's more than one answer. You could be looking for movie times, and you're trying to figure out which location and time is going to work best for you. You could be trying to find a type of person. So a doctor, you want a certain doctor, but you're not sure which one yet. You could be trying to find a certain type of restaurant in a certain location, or books on a certain topic. And then sometimes you're conducting a search to not necessarily get an answer or one specific piece of information, but a level of understanding. You might be doing research on a topic. You might be trying to make a decision, like, where should I go on vacation? What do these symptoms I have mean? What is the best way to do this, or what is the best thing for me? And the thing there is that the answer depends on the person doing the search. The best place for me to go on vacation might not be the best place for you to go on vacation. It's different depending on my personal preferences, and symptoms are different depending on my health history. So it's not just one answer. It's very personalized, and it's not just one piece of information. It can be many. So some important things to consider, and I know that it's a usability marathon. Of course, we're focused on the user, but it still needs to be said, because sometimes, especially if we're designing interfaces or we're thinking about the technology and what it can do, we sometimes we're thinking about the design and the technology too much and forget about the user, or there might not be time in a project to do research and talk to users and take the time and the budget to do that. But even in the absence of the ability to do research and the time and the budget, it's important to consider who's coming to the search tool, who's visiting, and what do they need. And part of that is considering what are the different types of users. Are there users who just want to get in and get out and get the piece of information? Are there users who want to browse around, and it's more of a kind of exploratory type of experience? Are there some users who are visual, and they want to have visual support for things, and that helps them scan and select what they want. Or would they be better with text? Are there people coming from different areas of the world, people with different job responsibilities, people with different learning curves? What makes the audience tick, basically? What are their important characteristics? We need to consider also if they've ever been here before. If they've been here before, we might have the ability to set a cookie or to remember what they searched on last time and bubble that up, or use their search, what they've searched and what they've viewed, to start to form a profile and start to personalize the search results based upon that profile. And that can make the results more relevant. We can consider how they got here and what led up to this interaction. What's driving them? So oftentimes when designing an interface, we're thinking about the screen and what they're doing on the screen and things, but it's important to consider the real life, real world scenario that drove them to this interaction. Are they searching for directions because they're lost? Are they searching for a phone number because they have to call somebody right away? Are they searching for a vacation because they really need to schedule it because it's next week or whatever? And we can consider, did they get here because a friend told them, because they went directly to the website? Did they type in another search engine to get to this site and then use that search engine? And did they just go to a detail and then a detail page and then get to the search that way? Also to consider, what are they looking for? So when you think about what they're looking for, first think about it in human terms, what they're looking for, and then think about what specific search terms they might use and how specifically they might expect to find it. Depending on your audience, children versus adults, a scientist versus a school teacher, they're going to use different words to find different things. And so that's important to consider. Also, where will they want to look? Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of information out there. Considering that people might want to shape the confines of the information space and define where they want to look, what types of documents they want retrieved, what sites they want to be searched, and things like that. If a user has a set of commonly used sites, for example, if they are searching for a sweater and they often use shop at 5 stores, maybe when they're doing a search elsewhere, if the search engine knew that, they would just bubble up results in an aggregated fashion for those 5 stores, thereby helping the user so they don't have to go from store to store to store. So just thinking about where they want to look is a good thing to think about. What do they want to see? So what is going to help them make their decision on what result to click through on what which one is better than the other one? Will they need any other related information in order to make the decision? Part of figuring out what's on the search results screen is, do we even need them to click through? Perhaps we can put enough in the result itself that they're done and they don't even need to click through. So that's something to think about. How will they know that they've found what they're looking for? So that's an important thing too. There's a million things you could go and look at, but how do you know when you've gotten the right thing? And how do you compare things to set up search results so that it's easy for a user to compare? It's not always going to do it with a high-level description. People are coming into, there might be 800 pieces of information on a page, and if that page has one description, no matter what 800 searches you did to find that page, that's not going to be very useful. So to consider what specific piece of information, depending on the search, should be in that little result description is important, and if there's any way to craft that using the technology to your advantage. So also to consider how they will want to interact. What would the ideal interaction be? So will they want to click back and forth, back and forth? Jared Spool calls this pogo sticking, because you're basically going from the search results page to a website and back and forth and back and forth, like on a pogo stick. Is that going to be favorable to them, or is there a way to really sort the results? In an e-commerce environment, you could search, you could sort by price. You could zoom in and out of the information space. There might be topics within the information space that allow you to navigate. You might want to compare and see different, facets of information in a way that enables you to easily compare the results. Will you want to save a result or a detail? Will you want to mark it as your favorite, rate it, comment on it, share it, email it, print it? So what specific search interactions will people be expecting, and what will they need? And again, it's different depending on the search tool. And doing research and considering your audience is going to help you figure out which ones of these are needed. So how are they going to use the information? What will they need to do with it? Are they going to just commit it to memory and move on their happy way? Are they going to go and type in that address into their GPS? Are they going to take that and go to another website with it? Consider the portability of the results, if they're going to need it later, what they're going to do after, and how we can support that. And if they're going to be back again, will they need information from this search? So can we save it for them? Can we make it easy so if they come back and they need the same thing, that they don't have to go digging again? And one thing that it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes people would like search results like this on a regular basis. And this happens for if you're looking for a job and a new job comes into your search results for your job search, and you want to get an email or a text message when there's a new job that meets your criteria, or you're you have a certain health condition and you want to know if there's any experimental treatments that you didn't know about before, and so you might want to be notified when that happens. So that's like bringing the search results to the user on a regular basis and letting them know if any new pieces popped into those search results, so they don't have to come to the site and find it. We're reaching out to them and letting them know. So with all that in mind, that's a good kind of guideline of things to think about, questions to ask yourself, questions to ask the team. You could have a brainstorm or a workshop where you really think about those things, and many of those things might already be accounted for using the specific technology package that you might be using. I mean, there's a million out there. There's Fast Search, there's the Google Toolkit, there's there's just thousands of them. And they might already have some of these tools available, but it's good to have a session and think about all of those things. And what can you do? So can you do anything to better understand the visitor? Can you look at search logs or site statistics or analytics to give you a sense for people's behaviors, visitors' behaviors currently on a site with the tool? What terms are they searching on? What do we know about them? When do they come and search? Things like that. You could launch a site survey, a survey on the site, or a customer survey to get a sense for the types of people who are coming to your site and why, and what they're using the search tool for, and if they're happy with the search tool. And you could also do user research, interview folks who are using the tool, do contextual inquiry, ask them questions, observe them using the tool. You could do usability testing before your redesign effort, after your redesign effort, or during and always, you know, every 6 weeks, every month, once every 2 months, to see people using the tool and see where they're falling down. And you know, some searches are very specific. They're for a specific, you know, intranet. For an intranet, it's employees at a specific company, or some tools are just for nurses, just for doctors, just for job seekers. And so you can get really specific in understanding the person's informational needs and really build in some bells and whistles. Other times, with Google, for example, the search population is very diverse, and people are searching on a million different things, but you can still start to understand patterns and trends and different habits and start to try to account for more productive search behaviors, start to design in things for that, which they've been doing over the years. So to figure out, yeah, how early, how often can you do these things, and can they be part of an ongoing process? Again, there's not always a time or budget for it, but if we can push for it as much as we can, the solution will be that much better. So you're going to do your search interface design, and so what are you going to do to make it happen? First of all, what is it? What are you going to do? Are you just putting a skin on, a visual design on an existing search technology? Are you trying to improve the search effectiveness? Are you so what are your priorities, and how do you determine your priorities? To figure that out on your own or with your team, again in a workshop or in a meeting. It's always good to have in mind what could be done in the future. Where do you want to get to in 2 years, in 3 years? You know, blue sky, if you could do anything you wanted to do, what would you do? But you also need to consider what can be done right now. So there always are, you know, quick fixes or certain things you can do to improve the search effectiveness, improve the interface for the users who are using it. But it's always good to have an eye toward the horizon and try to get, you know, that much closer with each release or with each redesign or enhancement to the search. To think about what can be done with the technology. Again, a lot of the search interfaces are very often defined by the technology you're using, and the technology you're using may have great out-of-the-box functionality that you can put into play, but oftentimes the technology will need to be tweaked and customized for the certain environment, and things will need to be tagged or scraped, and you'll need to do certain exercises for optimization and really tweak that engine. And so in this space specifically, you know, always with user experience design, it's great to have a collaboration between design, user experience, usability, user research, and technology. But here more than anywhere, I think, because the user, if the technology does not enable them to find what they're looking for, they're going to walk away unhappy. They're going to have a poor user experience. So as user experience designers, we need to collaborate with the technologists to understand what can be done to optimize the search, and to give them the information that will help them do it, or to ask them to give us the tools that will enable us to go ahead and optimize the search. And it really is that tight collaboration where you're customizing things and getting the most out of the technology and pushing the envelope. That's when some really nice things can start to happen. So if you just put the search appliance out there and put a visual design on top of it, it isn't necessarily going to help anybody find anything. So need to define also who you're working with, how can you collaborate with them, and again, design the project or push for the meetings such that you can have those collaborations. So do you know if your search is effective? We've designed many a search interface where nobody knew if the search was effective. There were no ways to measure it. There were no benchmarks in place. Other times there were many benchmarks in place. You know, we want a user to be able to click on a result and never come back, or we want them to click many results and we want to be the place where they always are, they always come, or we want somebody to never have to type in more than one search term. We always will use the technology to get them where they're looking to go, or we'll get them the result in under 10 seconds, whatever the case may be. How do you know if your search is effective? Are you going to measure satisfaction of your visitors? Are you going to have a tool that measures that? What stats or what aspects of the analytics are you going to look at? What are you going to measure? How will you know when you're successful? And keeping your eye on that through the design process and using the research and the design to really yield those results. And also determine how to improve on a regular basis. Are you going to review reports once a month, every other month, every week, every day to optimize the search and incrementally tweak it and refine it and improve it? So a lot of that was about what you can do to make the search more effective, and how you can work with the team and the technology to really make things happen. Now we're going to jump into the actual interface and interaction design component, and that is determining on your homepage, pre-search, when they get there, what are you going to show? Are you going to show most recent searches, most recently clicked through on items? Are you going to show most popular, like on Twitter.com, for example? Are you going to recommend searches to people based upon their profile or based upon what they're searching? And thinking about your search box, where is it going to be placed? Is it going to have priority in the design? Is it going to be emphasized hierarchically or with color? How is it going to be labeled? What words are going to be used? When the user gets to the page, are you going to put focus on the search box programmatically, so that when the user gets there, that their cursor is blinking and they can start typing? Will the return key work? That's with different technologies like Flash. You have to code that in. Will they be able to tab around? Will things be pre-populated? Can you assume based on what they searched before or where they came from? Can you pre-populate some search fields? Will there be type ahead? Will you spell check? Will there be any level of interactivity to the search box, or will it just be a plain search box? You could pull in related searches. You could correct their typos, right all in that search box. Will there be codified searches? So for example, if you go to, I think, FedEx.com or UPS.com and you enter your tracking number will come up. Or in some websites, if you enter a zip code or a catalog ID, the system is looking out for those numbers, those codes, and will treat the search differently because of what you entered. And thinking about search terms, what search terms do you anticipate? What variations on them could there be, and how do you plan for that? Will there be a spell check, or did you mean feature there as well? And then when you're thinking about the results, this is a good checklist of things to consider. What content or media will be displayed? Will you have images, video? Will the results display on a map? Will there be specific pieces of content, or will it just be a description? When you hover your mouse over the results, will there be more content available? Maybe the content could expand and collapse like an accordion. Will there be related content shown? So show me more like this, or things that are in that information space but in a different area. Could you show that? Could you avoid a click-through by showing the right information? And how are you going to organize the results? How are you going to prioritize the results? How will they be filtered and sorted? And what kind of topical or faceted navigation will be available? I'll go into that in a bit. When a user is actually manipulating the results, you'll need to provide interface components for them. The ability to sort, the ability to filter, to zoom in and zoom out. So, and zooming in means to search within. So I do a search, and then I want to search within those results. Navigating around in the search, organizing your results. Google recently introduced a tool that enables you to bump up certain items in your search results. So you're personalizing, you're organizing. Can you drag and drop to save? Can you email, share, rate, comment? Can you browse through the results, hover, click through? How many results are you going to show on a page? How is the user going to paginate, navigate through the pages? And how's the content going to load or flow in? Now, with more and more sites using Ajax, you don't have to wait for the whole page to load. Results will kind of flow in, and even more now with real-time searches like Twitter, you'll even see, 7 more results, 10 more results, click to refresh, or the results will just start flowing in, and the newer ones will come to the top. So it's ever loading in. So here are some search interfaces that you might be familiar with. Obviously, Google, and Google enables you to search the web, search images, videos, maps, and so you can kind of click through these different information spaces or modes of searching to do that. And you type in the search. Now they also have a type ahead where you start to type and they give you options and you can select. They're also doing putting in assets as well. So they're taking all of the images, video, maps, news, and piping those into the top of the page. And studies have shown that people really, their eyes focus on the visual, and they do look at that, and it actually they'll focus on that area more than anything else. Here you'll see too the arrow to bump up the search result or remove the search result. It's something you don't want to see. Ask.com does the same type of navigating between different types of searches. They do it via tabs. You can mouse over these this little binoculars icon, and it shows you a preview of the site. So you can get a sense for, by the visual, you can tell if this is a credible site or not, sometimes just by the way it looks. So this enables users, instead of having to click and pogo stick back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, to actually preview. And they can also see stats as well. So these are interesting features. They're really robust, but it hasn't necessarily led to a huge migration for people from Google to Ask. And so I wonder, really, even though it avoids the pogo sticking, does it improve the experience enough that it would make people loyal there? So it's an interesting thing to think about. Bing is a newer search interface, and they've done some interesting things on the homepage where they'll show a picture and you can kind of navigate within the picture to see different things, and I think trying to create stickiness there. But they also do the same type of thing as Google and Ask, but they have their navigation. They have it along the top, but they also have it along the side, and they're trying to really attract attention to that. They also are piping in related searches and displaying your search history. They're also putting visual assets at the top. But really, it's somewhat similar. Here's a newer search I came across, actually within the past couple of weeks, and it is a social media search tool. You can do a real-time search for something, and you can see what's happening on Twitter and the blogosphere with regard to that thing. So my search term was search engine, and you could see somebody tweeting about search engine, and see at the top it says 10 results in the last 10 seconds. So the results are constantly flowing in, and you can actually do the search, get the results, and see the detail all in one place, which is really interesting. It's what we call pageless design, where you just have one screen and everything happens on that screen. And so that's interesting. You can kind of tab through, and it very clearly shows you what detail you're looking at. Here's another one that's kind of, it's not necessarily a federated search, but it's you can have different searches going in different columns. This is TweetDeck. It's different Twitter searches, and so that's interesting too, thinking that there's not just one thing somebody might want to keep their pulse on. There's maybe many things, many topics. somebody wants to keep their pulse on, and TweetDeck has provided all sorts of columns to enable users to do that. And from here, you can reply to somebody, you can favorite it, you can save it, things like that. Here's something that I call peekaboo search, and that is a lot of times interfaces, websites that get cluttered, and so to keep it clean, I've seen recently folks concealing search fields and login fields and contact fields, and then you click and they come right in. So that's a way to streamline the interface. It's also a way to enable the user to do more without having to hit a new page and forcing another reload. So it's an interesting thing. Here's what I was talking about before, the type ahead search. I know that you guys have seen this before. A lot of sites are doing it, and it's to the point where you kind of have to do it. It's starting to become a user expectation, and it's something that you can use to correct spelling, to let them know about the different topics in the information space. And it also boosts confidence. If they're searching in an area they're not familiar with, and they start to see terms come into this box, they start to understand, oh, I'm in the right place and I have some options, and that can boost their confidence. We've seen these two get very topical, almost like a navigation panel and not just like a drop-down. Searches can get pretty advanced and pretty tricky. We try to streamline them as much as possible. Wanted to show you this treatment where you start out with the basic fields, not that this looks basic, but start out with the basic fields and then click additional. And when you click additional, all of the additional fields flow in to the bottom. We call that, expand collapse, or like an accordion. We've also seen it done too, that if you enter one field, then another field might just load in, flow in. It wasn't necessary before, but once you answered a certain way, then there are more fields. And so we try to start streamlined and then let the user get more specific from there if they need to. These are called faceted navigation or filters. So here's some filters on Zappos.com. They're constantly updating their sites. I'm not sure if this one's old. But you can search. Here I did a search for pink pumps. And you can filter the results by what sizes are available, what widths, what you can sort and filter by price. You can just say, show me a certain brand, and that helps the user narrow in on the shoes that they like. And these are called facets. So product type is a facet, size is a facet, width is a facet, price is a facet. So when you're thinking about your search, determine, are there facets like document type or person who created it or color, whatever the case may be. Here's another approach to faceted navigation. This, Zappos is along the top. This one's along the side, and is a little bit more visual with sliders and colors and things like that. And you see also in the results, you can mouse over and get a bit more detail as well. Here's another take on faceted navigation over on the left. This is an interface we did for Monster that enables employers to search resumes. And so they can sort and try to find folks, find people by their career level, by their skill, by their education level. And so they click in and it expands, and then they can check off what they would like to see and what they would not like to see, what they want included in their search and what they do not want included in their search. And once they select it, it collapses and shows what's being searched on. And they can clear the filters from there. Just zooming in on these filters, rating, and we've seen it done as links, and when you click the link, it includes that, it filters on that, and then you can remove or clear the filters. We've seen it done as drop-downs, radio buttons, checkboxes, sliders, colors, And then, of course, letting the user know what they've done and enabling them to go back, set it as their default. Maybe they always want to use this search criteria or these filters, or maybe they want to go back and use a default or clear it out. That's really important too, especially with navigating travel sites. Sometimes if you go back or you do it a different way, everything is forgotten. You always have to start from scratch. So really try to remember what people might want to clear out and what they might want to keep, and try to help them out that way. One of the kind of boring but essential aspects to a search interface is pagination. How are you going to let people get from page to page to page? A lot of results might be returned, and hopefully the most relevant ones are on the first page, but they need to navigate within. So you've seen Google's, and you can also determine how many results you want on a page and let the user navigate page to page, go forward, back. Twitter does it this way now, where they just show you page 1, you click more, and page 2 flows within, which is interesting, but it can get to be a lot if you have kind of more than 10 pages. That's a really long page there. Here's one way we did it for an asset search tool that enables you to search video, photos, and audio. We did it this way, so it's like stacked papers, and you can navigate the different types via icon, and so that's the different assets you can get to that way. But you can also kind of like in a slider go page to page, next, back, and you can use the scroll bar to get to the different pages as well. So here's the concept of zooming in and zooming out. Very simple. Providing a radio button. If your users want to search within results, if they're searching huge information spaces, large result sets, to enable them to narrow in on their search. The faceted navigation that I showed you can help. Like here, sort by filter by rating, or show me the things on these different topics, but also search within. You can select search within and then type in a search and narrow in on those results. There are different ways that we can help users to visualize the information space. Some of them are more innovative, and usability testing would tell you if they're effective or applicable to the users that you're working with. Here's a way MSNBC created this tool. It enables you to navigate through different news stories and different topics. And that's the thing. I mean, the web is an information space. When the information space is small and confined and predictable, we create navigation. And the navigation is essentially giving users the tool to do a search. Navigation enables you to get there. Search is more dynamic, but we still want to make it as easy for the user to get around as when they use navigation. So this doesn't even necessarily need to be considered a search tool. I mean, you can use it as search, but just the fact that you can view different areas of the news, and these results are kind of swirling around. The news story fills in here like a little card, and you can slide through them, you can next back through them. Just a really interesting way of presenting results. Another interesting way of presenting results is this new interface the New York Times came up with. You have your news stories here like little cards, and so instead of scanning visually top to bottom, it's kind of all on one page for you, and so you can kind of scan around horizontally and vertically. It's easy to scan that way. The hierarchy on the page and the photos, and you can navigate the search through the sections on the left. Here's another information visualization for search. We created in partnership with Aetna's design team this tool, and what we did was the user had a hard time understanding information space, so this is a tool to help people search for health information. And if I go and I search on diabetes, there's so many different types of information on diabetes. So what we did is we created these information maps for to define the information space for different health conditions. So when you search on diabetes, you get a map for diabetes, and you can click the nodes in the map to see about insulin resistance, about the causes, about foot care. And the thing is that when you click these nodes, the search results will update. So it gives you navigation, and it helps you visualize the information space and understand what types of information are out there and get to it that way. And then you can also navigate on the top. Just show me doctors, just show me medications, just show me costs, things like that. Here's another information visualization, and that is a heat map. So this is a tool that if there's a catastrophe, a disaster, people on the ground would be using this tool to figure out the damage and report back. And so the map can show where the damage is the worst and where things are okay, and you can navigate and get a sense for things that way. Here's another kind of heat map type of concept showing where the job searches are happening. This is a wireframe we created for an intranet. It was just a concept, but basically what it was exploring is what we call the bullseye concept. And if you think about a bullseye, the circle at the center and then circles radiating out from there, you have the person at the center and everything to do with them, and then you have maybe their team or their group or their family or their geographic location, and then there are different levels to the information space, everything on the intranet, everything on the web, everything by topic. So giving them kind of a tool to help them understand, if they do a search, where in the information space is it coming up, and helping them to navigate the information space that way. Also here, exploring the definition. When somebody types something in, you need to consider the granularity of what they're looking for. Are they looking for a specific piece of data or to understand an overarching concept? So should you display a definition? Should you display a document? Is there a landing page for that item? Is there a site dedicated to that item? And go from there. I think the way Google does it, if you have a domain name and somebody searches on a term that is that domain name, that'll come up first. So they've said a site that's dedicated to something is pretty important, and we're going to put it first. Similarly, on an intranet, if somebody searches for a specific term and there's a landing page associated with that term, you might want to send them there as opposed to, bubbling up PDFs and documents and PowerPoints that have that word as one word in an entire document, as opposed to a page being dedicated to that term. So just to consider, is it an overview that they're looking for? Is it a granular detail? When you're browsing through results, Netflix does this. We did this for Monster's resume search as well. So you can log into Monster as an employer and see this and do a search. And when you're navigating through, you can mouse over somebody's name and get a sense for what they're all about. What's their target job title? What salary are they looking for? How much education do they have? Another thing you can do is the accordion approach. So instead of a hover, having if the user clicks on an arrow or clicks on the link, information flowing in, and then actually enabling the user to tab through that information so they can get to what they're looking for. Obviously, the integration of the map, and here we're starting out with basic search fields, but they can click more search options and get to more options that way. Here's another way to browse through results. It's a layer, so you click and you get a layer on top. So it's not a hover and it's not an accordion, but instead it's a layer. So you can do some information in a hover, like over here, and you can do a deeper level of detail in a layer. In some cases, the detail might be the layer. In this asset search video and multimedia search tool, this is the detail, and they can do everything they need to from here. They don't have to go to another site or another page or another system. Here again is Collecta, and the concept of enabling the user to search, get results, and view details all in one information space is extremely interesting. Hard to do, but very compelling from an experience perspective. Here's again, you click on a result and you get a layer on top. This is touching upon the granularity of information and what can you break apart. So can you tell somebody the date, the author, the asset type? Can you define the term? Can you show them related information and topics? Are there people? So when you do a search for on a certain topic, can we show you the people that are experts in that topic? Can we tell you the sites that cater to that topic? Books, magazines, other assets. Can that be bubbled up? Filtering, we've seen tag clouds as a way to navigate the information space, which bubbles up different topics and gives you a sense for popularity of things as well. Again, tabs to navigate, a slider to navigate, tabs and then even sub-tabs to navigate the different search results. And in different cases, you'll be pulling in different, you'll be federating searches. So taking search results from many different sites or many different search tools and putting them all in one place. And in some cases, you can't rank them or do relevancy across all of them. So how is a user going to navigate and find the best one for them? Here we've explored letting a user action by clicking this little plus sign and getting all of the options for things they can do to this one item. So they hover over it, they know it's hovered over, and they can take action from there. Can change their sort order and their preferences for viewing as well. Here they're selecting where they want the search to be conducted, and sometimes visuals are more effective than text here. This could be displayed with text and checkboxes, but even though it looks cluttered, we wanted to include logos because there really is that brand recognition, and people can select where they want to go and search. Here's another approach to presenting results in a visual slider, and then enabling people to select multiple options from here. Mouse over and get some detail. These are some examples of a really targeted search and filter interface that, since it is so targeted for who's going to use it, and this was a tool built for Google's sales team, since it is so targeted, you can make it more rich in presentation. It's harder to do that if you have tons and tons of visitors who are coming for different reasons. Here's a piece we created for Timberland, and we made the information space very visual. This is all of the brand marketing and advertising and environmental creative that Timberland's done throughout the years, and enabling them to navigate through it kind of like a portfolio. So you can mouse over and get a bit of detail, and then you click and the detail comes in the middle. You can also click the different quadrants, and it will zoom in to only that quadrant of the information space. If you filter by year, the non-relevant thumbnails fade to the back and get grayed out, and only the relevant ones are in full color. So you can get a sense for how your filter actually affected the information space and see what you filtered out and also what's in your criteria. This one too, you could click and it would just cycle through all of the items. Providing users with the ability to view the results in different ways. Some people are visual, some people want to compare, and giving them different ways to do that. So here, again, in Monster's search, help employers find candidates. We provided 3 different ways to view the information. This is a high-level view where you can really compare vertically items on top of each other. And it's a really streamlined view. And then this is a more detailed view where you really want to kind of get in and get a sense for things without having to hover over and see detail that way. And then this is another view where you can kind of put people side by side and drag and drop to compare. And then the way to navigate through the different ways to see the results are through these little thumbnails here, which would obviously have tooltip help, or you'd mouse over and get a description of what you can do with that button. And I wouldn't recommend this for every single search tool. It only was applicable for this specific situation, and we had to usability test it to make sure that the users would be able to use it and that it would meet their needs. So the concept of relationships and nearness. So the way that Amazon.com establishes relationships is when you're viewing a detail, they'll tell you customers who bought that almost bought this, or also bought this rather, or these items are frequently bought together. Again, in an intranet environment, you might want to bubble up people who are expert in that topic, or books, or forum topics, wiki topics, and bubble that up so that people become aware of things that they wouldn't otherwise become aware of. You might want to feature items, check this out, or recommend searches, relevant searches, related searches. And sometimes you want to define the information space by giving them access to all of the facets that they can search within and enable them to kind of zoom in that way. So consider, do you want your search to be